And so the question becomes, what happens now? For centuries, astronomy has been an act of humility. Humanity built its instruments to measure, to observe, to quietly decode the silent laws of the cosmos. Telescopes were our windows, not our voices. They asked nothing. They simply listened. But now, silence may no longer be an option. The pulses Webb detected have changed everything. They are not noise. They are not random. They repeat, they pause, they vanish, they return. They obey a rhythm that feels less like chaos and more like intention. And intention demands response. Already, quiet proposals circulate in laboratories and government halls. A handful of physicists working in midnight sessions sketch out theoretical answers. Could humanity reply with its own pulse, directed light, a mirrored rhythm? Could we attempt to echo the signal back, not as a message, but as acknowledgement? Not speech, but eye contact across a cosmic room. But even the idea sparks dread. Because what if answering is dangerous? What if the pulse is not an invitation, but a lure? A flare thrown into the dark to see who looks back. If so, then to answer would be to step willingly into a spotlight we do not understand. Some argue the opposite. They believe the pulses are not for us specifically, but for anyone. A breadcrumb trail scattered across the cosmos, written in the universal language of light. They point to the lattice web revealed, vast structures that seem to stitch galaxies together like threads of an unseen loom. To them, the pulses are markers on this map. A way of saying, there is order here. There is purpose here. Follow it. Perhaps, they suggest, the lattice is more than structure. Perhaps it is memory. And here lies the most unsettling possibility of all. What if dark matter, the invisible web binding the universe, is not inert at all, but memory itself? Not just gravitational scaffolding, but the cosmos remembering its own shape. Every galaxy, every void, every spiral a recollection. If true, then the universe is not a random expanse of stars, but a mind. A mind replaying itself across eternity. If so, then the pulses may not be a message at all. They may be the synapses of this vast memory firing. A universe not only remembering, but aware. The thought is almost unbearable. For it means we are not searching for intelligence. We are inside it. And yet, Webb's discoveries do not let us turn away. Already, more anomalies surface. A cluster of stars separated by millions of light-years flickering in unison, as if obeying an unseen conductor. A deep void that should be empty, but faintly echoes the same rhythm of pulses. Patterns that shift only when Webb looks at them, as if the very act of observation alters the message. Coincidence? Instrument error? That is what some say. But deep down, even skeptics feel the unease. Because coincidence does not flicker in perfect synchronicity. Error does not repeat in intervals that defy probability. Something is happening. Something we cannot yet name. And so humanity stands at a threshold. Some whisper of a cosmic archive. A record encoded in the fundamental constants of the universe. A library not built of stone or code, but of gravity and light, waiting for intelligence to evolve far enough to notice. Not a message meant for us alone, but for any who learn to look. But there is another interpretation, darker still. What if the archive is not history, but instruction? Not memory, but blueprint. A map not of where we came from, but where we are supposed to go. If so, then free will is an illusion. The path is already written. Every discovery, every step into the stars, every pulse we detect, already inscribed in the universe's memory before we ever lifted our eyes to the night sky. Which raises the most terrifying question of all. If the universe has a memory, then what does it want to remember us as? The debates grow louder behind closed doors. Some say we must send a response, proof that we too can see, can hear, can think. That if the universe is waiting for awareness, we must show it that we are ready. Others argue silence is our only safety, that perhaps countless civilizations have answered before us, only to vanish into the very memory we now witness. And beyond the scientific circles, the public begins to stir. Religious leaders proclaim that Webb has glimpsed the hand of creation itself. Philosophers argue that we are no longer living in a material universe, but in a story, a narrative vast beyond comprehension. And in the corners of the internet, whispers spread of the watchers of ancient myths of the cosmos speaking, myths that sound less like fantasy and more like prophecy. The line between science and myth begins to blur. Because what Webb has shown us is not data, it is poetry written in starlight. Yet even amidst wonder and dread, one truth remains. The universe has revealed its hand. The pulses are real. The lattice is real. The anomalies are real. Something is out there. Something vast. Something deliberate. And so we arrive at the question no longer whispered, but spoken aloud in every lab, every observatory, every midnight conversation. Do we answer? The only question left is not whether the universe is speaking, but whether humanity is ready to respond. Because once we answer, everything changes. And perhaps that is what the cosmos has been waiting for all along. Beyond the stars. Beyond the veil. Beyond the silence, the decision, when it comes, is not announced to the world. It begins quietly, hidden beneath layers of secrecy. A small array of satellites built for entirely different purposes are redirected. They will be the voice of Earth. Not through words, but through light. A pulse, carefully mirrored, timed to echo the rhythm Webb has heard. Humanity's first attempt at eye contact with the universe itself. The moment passes without fanfare. The signal is sent, vanishing into the abyss. And then comes the waiting. Days. Weeks. Months. Nothing. The silence stretches until it feels unbearable. Skeptics call it proof of failure, another false alarm in humanity's long history of cosmic longing. But then, something shifts. The lattice itself begins to respond. Webb records a tremor, like ripples in an ocean too vast to imagine. Galaxies on opposite sides of the sky flicker in harmony, as though strung together by invisible threads now vibrating. The pulses return, but this time, they are altered. They do not repeat what they once did. They carry a variation. An acknowledgement. The universe has answered. And with that, everything changes. Time itself begins to feel unstable. Astronomers notice that clocks aboard certain satellites drift in strange synchrony with the pulses. Particles in quantum experiments shift their behavior ever so slightly, as though nudged by an unseen hand. In remote observatories, instruments pick up patterns buried in the cosmic microwave background, faint, ancient echoes rearranging themselves like letters in a book being rewritten. The archive is no longer passive. It is aware of us. But awareness cuts both ways. For along with the awe comes fear. Reports surface of strange power surges, blackouts clustered around cities the moment the pulses peak. Some call them coincidences. Others whisper that Earth itself is being read, that our planet has become a page in the cosmic memory. And then the dreams begin. Across the world, people describe the same vision, standing beneath a sky threaded with light, lattice strands stretching endlessly, each one humming like a stringed instrument. Some hear voices within the hum, some see images, fractured glimpses of other worlds, other civilizations long gone. Civilizations that, perhaps, also dared to answer. Governments attempt to suppress these reports, branding them mass hysteria. But the vision spread. Entire cities begin to hum with the rhythm of the pulses, as though humanity's own minds are being woven into the memory. The question is no longer whether to respond. We already have. The question now is, what have we awakened? And deeper still, was this always inevitable? Was Webb's discovery not chance, but the next step in a sequence written long before we were born? If the lattice is memory, and the memory is alive, then perhaps we were never meant to remain silent. Perhaps the universe has been waiting, patiently, for us to join its chorus. But waiting for what? Welcome, or assimilation? The pulses quicken. The lattice brightens. The veil thins. Humanity stands at the edge of a revelation that could redefine not only our place in the cosmos, but the very nature of existence itself. The sky is no longer silent. And it will never be silent again.